Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today, the first issue of IDW's Transformer comic was released. This is a reboot of the series, so whatever we know as Transformers lore in the IDW series of the past may not apply in this one. So, I did not follow IDW's Transformers comics prior to this, but as a kid, I did follow the original Marvel Comics run all the way to the end at issue 80. So I am coming at this pretty fresh. On a side note, though, I actually started reading the original comics again in digital format, and it really does bring back a lot of memories. So let's get started. In this issue, we are introduced to a character named Rubble. Not sure why they chose that name, because the first thing that came to my mind is Barney Rubble. So maybe I'll nickname the character Barney. But anyways, Rubble is a newly forged Cybertronian. I'm assuming forged is a term for created or built. So we see Bumblebee here as his mentor, and they are both on their way to see Brainstorm at an Energon transmission station. During this trip, they encounter what seems to be non-robot creatures, which all of a sudden Windblade comes in and suddenly scares them off. We learn that these creatures are alien to Cybertron, so because Bumblebee calls them aliens, and are called Void Scavengers. Windblade is also on her way to the Energon transmission station to investigate some possible sabotage that was reported by Brainstorm. In his conversation with Windblade, Bumblebee indirectly mentions Windblade's role as security operations, so she's possibly some kind of security officer or investigator. He also mentions a group of or faction called the Rise as being possibly responsible for that. So it seems that this group is some kind of gang or terrorist group or something. We are then taken elsewhere, where there is a protest of some sort by a group calling themselves Rejecticons, yelling to Tarn in Termagant's name, which is interesting because the story starts off with some quotes from this character named Termagant. At the first page of this issue, where Rubble is coming out, some of the quotes that is said by her is, "Your life is yours to shape. In doing so, you owe nothing to those who came before you, but you owe everything to those as yet unforged. Let no shaping of yours limit what they, in their turn, might be and achieve." Termagant. So, yeah, pretty interesting. We then see Orion Pax being notified by Ironhide that Megatron has arrived at Orion's request. And we learn that the Rejecticons are followers of Megatron, and that both he and Orion are senators on Cybertron and old friends. Orion's meeting with Megatron is to basically ask him to postpone his speech to the Rejecticon crowd, which Megatron refuses to do so. So then Orion asks him to just let him know what kind of speech it is, because I guess he's concerned about security or if things get too rowdy. Megatron pretty much says it's up to Orion to interpret his words, and then he leaves, bumping into Ironhide. So after that, we are brought back to Rubble, Bumblebee, and Windblade, where we learn that Rubble has not settled on his alternate mode yet, and that it is something that newly forged Transformers should take their time to explore, according to Windblade. Rubble sees what he thinks is a shooting star and is corrected by Windblade when she tells him that it is a sleeping Titan, which are dormant starship Cybertronians that serves as Cybertron's planetary defenses. So they finally arrive at the Energon transmission station, and they find Brainstorm, who appears to be dead. So that pretty much sums up this first issue. Okay, so here are some of my thoughts after reading the very first issue of this comic. One, let's talk about the art. The art style, it's okay. I like it. Nice and clean. The designs, I'm glad they use the Transformers Siege designs, but one thing that is I don't like is that Windblade and Bumblebee, their designs don't seem to match that of, Optimus Prime, Orion, Megatron, and Ironhide. So it doesn't seem to it doesn't seem to connect to have that same look. I don't know. It's just like Bumblebee, there's not a lot of detail on him, and also Windblade, but then when you look how Ironhide, Orion, and Megatron are drawn, you can see a lot more detail. But to me, that's just a minor gripe. That can be fixed. I also like that we're seeing Cybertron through the eyes of a new Transformer or a new Cybertronian being created. So I'm thinking we're probably going to learn a lot more about the setting, the world, how things work, how Transformers now work, how they are created. Apparently, they're forged. So kind of want to understand that process. I do like they set up like the Titans, that they're out there in orbit, dormant. So maybe we'll see Omega Supreme come down the line in the comic. Other than that, I gotta be honest, the dialogue between Orion Pax and Megatron seemed just odd. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm more familiar with the original comics. And I know that's such a long time. But the characters, the dialogue doesn't seem like, actually Megatron's dialogue seems more like him, but Orion's doesn't seem like Optimus. And maybe that's because he's not Optimus yet. Maybe something happens in the series that changes his point of view, because the Orion in here seems like really a control freak. So we'll see what happens. Not sure where this will lead, but I told myself I'll give this series 6 issues before I decide whether or not I'll stop following it. Anyway, just some quick thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of the new series. The second issue comes out in 2 weeks, so who knows? Maybe we'll learn a lot more. It's okay for me right now, but I do understand being the very first issue and having 19 or so pages to fit things in doesn't really give it enough room to really lay it out, and that's why I'm giving the comic about 6 issues before I decide whether or not to keep buying it. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.